I, 21 male, have been dating my now ex-girlfriend 20 for 6 months. We met at university. She's from another country and came here to study. So during the academic year, I didn't have the opportunity to meet her parents. I don't think that's relevant, but we're both from Europe. During the summer vacations, she and her parents invited me to stay with them for a while. My girlfriend is very humble, so she never talked about her family's money, but I figured out pretty quickly that her parents were quite wealthy, certainly much richer than my family. My father left my mother for another woman when I was 6 years old. They separated, and since then my mother raised me by herself. My father ignored me for years. When I was a teenager, he suddenly reminded himself of my existence, but I wanted nothing to do with him. My mom never remarried. Although higher education here is mostly free, sending me to study in a big city was a significant financial burden for her. I had a part-time job from the beginning of my studies, but sometimes it was still difficult for me to make ends meet. My girlfriend always wanted to help me in such situations, but I was too proud to accept her help. She must have told her parents about it because they paid for my plane tickets and assured me that I didn't have to worry about any expenses during the trip. So I went on the plane. My girlfriend picked me up from the airport and took me to her parents' house. They both seemed very friendly and considerate. They gave us a lot of privacy, but offered to show me around the city one day if my girlfriend and I wanted to. I said I'd be happy to, and a few days later we spent a whole day with my girlfriend's parents, sightseeing, going to museums, etc. We had a good time. The next day, the girls' parents suggested that if we wanted, we could go to dinner with them and a couple of their friends, let's call them John and Kate, in the evening, to which we agreed. John and Kate were both in their 50s. They were well-mannered and interesting people, and I actually got along pretty well with them since they both work in fields in which I'm interested, publishing and media. But when we got home, my girlfriend's mom told my girlfriend's dad something about John going somewhere with his wife. I was confused and said, "What do you mean? Kate is not his wife?" They looked at each other and explained that John and Kate had been lovers for almost 20 years and that John had a wife with whom he lived and adult children, but spent a few days a week with Kate. They said it as if it was the most normal thing in the world. Girlfriend's mom even added that John wanted to leave his wife for Kate years ago, but Kate talked him out of it, saying she never wanted a husband because she preferred to live alone and couldn't imagine herself as a wife and mother. I was shocked but also furious. I utterly hate cheaters and people who enable cheating. My father's infidelity completely ruined my mother and our family. I was disgusted that I was staying at the house of people who were good friends with a cheater and his mistress and treated it like something normal and natural. I asked if John's wife knew about Kate. Girlfriend's mom said they had no idea because they never talked to his wife. They'd met John and Kate as a couple and always spent time with the two of them. Girlfriend's dad said that John's wife most likely figured it out because it's hard to hide an affair for that long. Disgusted, I exclaimed that they were terrible people, as terrible as their cheating friends. My girlfriend's parents were very surprised but tried to stay calm. They said some BS about how love is a complicated matter and that there's no reason to interfere in the private lives of others because we never know the whole story. I said I wanted nothing to do with them and left the room. My girlfriend ran after me. She was angry that I insulted her parents while they had been nothing but kind to me for the past couple of days. I said she shouldn't defend them and asked if it bothered her that her parents are friends with people who are in an extramarital affair. She said John and Kate are friends of her parents, not her friends, so it's not her place to interfere. I told her that she was the same as her parents and that if she was an ethical person, she should convince them to break contact with John and Kate and reveal the affair to John's wife. And if they were unwilling to do so, she should break contact with her parents herself. I had no contact with my father when he turned out to be an idiot. It's not that hard. Family's not everything. She started crying and saying that I was crazy to expect that of her and that she loved her parents. She said that my father had abandoned me, so it was understandable that I had broken contact with him, but that her parents had always been loving and supportive of her, and that it would be cruel to break contact with them because of some abstract moral high ground, her words. So I told her that I was leaving and that our relationship was over. I spent absolutely all my savings on a plane ticket for the next day. My buddy transferred the small missing amount to me, and I promised to pay him back as soon as possible and returned home. My ex-girlfriend tried repeatedly to contact me, but I didn't answer. It seemed to me that I did the right thing and acted in accordance with my principles. I can't imagine a relationship with someone who accepts cheating, even as a bystander, and with someone whose parents have no real moral values. However, our mutual friends believe that I acted cruelly, that I offended the girlfriend's parents when I was their guest, and that I should apologize. I don't think I should. I was their guest, only because they were lucky to have more money than I was. It doesn't mean anything. Am I the idiot? Cheating is gross and terrible, but frankly, your behavior is outrageous, extreme, and borderline abusive. Trying to force your girlfriend to go no contact with her parents because they have a friend who's having an affair? That's straight up psycho, bro. You are the idiot. I understand his feelings towards cheating, but wow, asking his girlfriend to break contact with her parents over their friend's relationship was nuts. And after 6 months of dating while both are in their early 20s, I hope OP considers counseling. The damage his father did will keep ruining future relationships otherwise. That is a very good point. He's still very young, so we can still take the measures to work through those issues. Not that you can't when you're older, but it's much harder once you're stuck in your way of thinking for so long. OP doesn't even know if John and Kate have an open relationship either. For 20 years, John has been spending half the week with his wife and half the week with Kate, and you don't think the wife knows? Jesus. Bro, you told your girlfriend of 6 months to go no contact with her parents over crap that's not your business. You should apologize to both your girlfriend and her parents. You should also explain to her parents why you feel so strongly, but take responsibility for your douchey behavior and apologize. You'll be lucky if your girlfriend will take you back. Update. Am I the idiot for insulting my girlfriend's parents after I found out what they did? I frankly do not expect such a response. Now I understand that I didn't treat my ex fairly and that I might have been the idiot. I was driven by anger and felt betrayed that she sided with her parents and not me, even though she knew how traumatized I was by my father's affair. I don't think we're compatible, but I will apologize to her and explain my behavior. She deserves closure. I just want to explain a few things in my defense, even though I know that there were some indefensible things in my behavior. My ex and her parents are not from some exotic foreign country with different cultures. We're both from Western Europe, and adultery is not considered normal here. The girlfriend's parents explicitly called Kate a mistress, and John's and Kate's relationship an affair. So I don't really think it's polyamory or an open marriage. They said that the wife probably knows, because it's hard to hide an affair for 20 years, but I'm not sure that's the case. From what I understand, John lives out of town and often spends several days in town because of his job, so he can justify his absence with work stuff. They also said that he wanted to leave his wife for Kate. It's evident that his wife is put in a lower position here, even though she is the mother of his children. This seems cruel and disrespectful to me. Even if the wife knows and accepts the affair, it's probably only because of financial dependence or out of concern for the family, not because she really feels okay about it. You are the idiot, even after your update. You are imagining a stranger's wife is your mother, and it's causing you to take an icky situation very personally. Would you have reacted the same way if Kate was the one cheating on her husband and John was just some single dude? Probably not. It would still be gross, but you probably wouldn't have cared enough to blow up your own relationship over it. Get therapy. My parents had me, a teen female, when they were 18 and 19. They always made it evident that they resented being parents so young and added that they never tried to be good parents. I typically spend most of my time at my friends' houses. I don't have extended family to rely on. They disowned my parents for having me so young. So friends' houses were a positive in my life that made me feel more comfortable than being at home with my parents. My parents never did the typical parent stuff like helping with homework or showing up to support me at school. I don't think they ever attended a parents' conference for me. They ignored a lot of stuff I needed to get signed, and I'd have to get right in their faces on the last day to get a signature. My birthday and Christmas have never been a big deal or celebration. They do celebrate their wedding anniversary, but that's a them thing. When they told me 2 years ago they were expecting a baby, it really surprised me. But then it hurt because sometimes they said stuff that made me feel like I don't exist, like how they were so excited to have a baby and how they couldn't wait to be parents. A friend of my mom's did remind her of me, but then she and Dad said I was basically the too early practice run, and this was the real deal. When my sister was born, they were so attentive to her that I ceased to exist completely. I got sick and my school was trying to call someone to pick me up early, but they ignored the calls. And when I got home, they had taken the baby out for a family day. When they got home, they hadn't even realized the school had called because they had turned off their phones to enjoy family time. My mom had quit her job a month after my sister was born. She wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and she and Dad want to at least have one more kid. My dad leaves early for work on Fridays to spend more time with the family, mom and sister. My parents tried to have another kid for over a year, and my mom isn't pregnant yet, so they're jumping to fertility treatments. They told me I needed to watch my sister for a few hours every week while they attended those appointments, and they gave me this detailed list of stuff she needed and what I was going to do with her. I told them I wouldn't, and that they had her, so they needed to take care of her because she's not my kid. My parents told me it's a few hours a week and not a huge deal. Dad told me I needed to consider it as paying back all they did for me. I said no and told them they didn't care about me, so why would I want to help them? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Neglecting to pick you up when you're sick and calling your life a practice run is such a horrible thing to get from your parents, and I'm sorry. This is totally their fault. People have kids at younger ages than they did and still manage to be decent parents. I hope you remember that this reflects the horrible people they are and in no way is related to you as a person. Work hard and be able to leave as soon as you legally can. The best revenge will be to lead a good life and cut all contact with them once you can at 18. Yep, one of my best friends had her first kid at 18. She got pregnant at 17, and she would never treat her kid like this. I'm sure she's made parenting mistakes, but normal mistakes, not full-blown neglect and emotional abuse. It's wild to think OP's parents had it hard and treated their kid like they don't exist, when yeah, lots of families have it hard. They still remember their kids' birthdays and take time off for them. Again, I'm sorry about your defective parents. They sound emotionally stunted. I, 39 female, have 2 stepkids, a young teen male and a teen female, from my husband's previous marriage. I can't say we've always had the best relationship between the 3 of us, but it has improved a lot over the years. I wish I could say the same about their bio mom. Not that we see or talk to each other that much, but when we do, we're both cold in our attitudes toward each other. Going to the issue at hand. For Christmas last year, I bought a gaming laptop for my stepdaughter. Beforehand, she used her crappy school laptop for schoolwork, and she was using my husband's PC for her gaming hobby. The laptop cost me $2,000 alone, and with the mouse and gaming headphones I bought alongside it, I paid around $2.7K in total. My stepdaughter's been using this laptop for everything ever since then, a huge improvement over her old setup. There hasn't been any issue with anything until recently. My stepdaughter started school a month and a half ago, and she's already had a few tests and projects, and she hasn't done well on them at all, as she's barely passing her classes. Her mom blamed the gaming hobby for this and took the laptop. Since I purchased the laptop myself, asked if she could return it to me, since it's technically my property. It took her about a week to respond. She sent me pictures of the laptop. The keyboard is all dented, and the screen is completely smashed to bits. I have no clue what could have caused all this damage. She said she accidentally dropped something heavy over it, but I told her that she'd have to pay me back the cost of the laptop, and I sent her a picture of the receipt. She had a what the heck reaction. She said this, told me to go away, and called me a thieving idiot. She told my husband what I asked, and my husband thinks I was too direct when I asked for payment. Am I the idiot? OP, what's puzzling about his reaction? The man is spineless. It was a gift. If the mom destroyed it, then the daughter would be out a laptop. However, I question if the actual laptop was destroyed. I smell a bait and switch. In any case, once you give the laptop, you can't ask for it back. It sounds more like the mom is a psycho who blamed the laptop for the grades and decided to smash it to teach her daughter a lesson. I can see why she's the ex, and dear old dad is tiptoeing around her, but she'll keep acting like this until someone stands up to her. I think taking it to court is too much, but OP shouldn't have to suck it up either. I mean, it's 2.7K. I see people debating whether it's your property. It really doesn't matter. When people co-parent outside of a relationship, they need to consult each other before depriving their kids of things the other parent bought them, such as costly things. Both parents should also discuss big gifts before they purchase them. Communication is important. Regardless, the mom broke the laptop. She should replace it because she didn't buy it, and it wasn't hers to take or destroy. She should have reached out and asked you guys to take possession of the laptop until the daughter's grades improved. I'm just chiming in to say it's abusive for the bio mom to do that. Whether she destroyed it in front of her daughter or not, it's out of control aggressive behavior, and you and hubby have a co-parent problem. What a horrible lesson to teach her daughter for her mother to do that. Keep an eye out for any other questionable parenting. I have a daughter, a teen. She was always happy with her school and had good friends. Some years ago, when my son was her age, I switched him to an elite private school. This is not because I thought the education was better, but because they follow an international curriculum based on the UK system, and this is helpful for applying to international universities that recognize the system. My son will be studying engineering abroad. When my son changed schools, my daughter said she was happy not to switch schools and that it would be hard to make new friends, etc. However, since he started attending, she's gotten jealous and started reading his textbooks, especially the science ones, and going through things like the yearbook. She's now upset with me because I refused to switch her to the school, even though she said she was happy where she was at the time. While I can't afford it, the education isn't really better, and I only sent my son there so that foreign universities recognize the credentials better. Furthermore, the school environment would be quite different. She goes to a girls-only school, and this is co-ed. Most of the girls at the school are foreigners with different values, and usually the kids of diplomats and embassy workers. The boys are either the kids of diplomats or the ultra-rich locals, and I'm concerned this would cause her to either not fit in or lose her morals. Am I the idiot here? You say the school isn't any better, and you claim you sent your son there so that foreign universities recognize the credential better? So it is better. Clearly, you just don't want to see your daughter going to the university, let alone one abroad. Why is that? Do you always undermine her? Could cause her to either not fit in or lose her morals. Why are you not concerned with your son losing his morals? What are these other children getting up to that you don't want your daughter getting up to? Overall, you're sexist. That's what it is. You view your daughter in a different light than your son. You can make this right by sending her to a better school. Oh, while you're at it, apologize to her as well. Especially because she was checking the science books, and even though she liked her current school and her current friends, she wanted to switch schools. This is not mere jealousy. She wasn't checking the pastry menu. She was checking the educational text. She clearly has the drive for education. OP's son is clearly the golden child here. I want to know how different the siblings have grown up. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that girls need more education and credentials than men, not the reverse. This is because the world is sexist, so they need to be better qualified to be able to be safe in the world. My education saved me from homelessness after my dad died. Think about what happens to her when you're not always around.